Now, Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hamburger, I would like to just explore and understand the capacity crunch a little bit better. We've heard a shortage of rail cars. We've heard delays, that type of thing. In your testimony on page 9, you have chart 4. It shows the average weekly U.S. total rail car loads. On this chart, it starts in 2006, which looked like kind of a record year in terms of, at least on this chart, it was the highest year. Obviously declined dramatically in 2009 and has been steadily increasing since that point in time. So it doesn't appear that even 2014 we're back to 2006 levels just in terms of rail shipments.
We are back to October 2007 when you combine intermodal and all other car loads. We are about back to where 2007 was, yes.
Okay. And again, I realize we're shipping a whole lot more oil by rail car, but those are specific types of cars. You mentioned there were 50,000 grain cars in storage. So where's the capacity crunch or the car shortage in terms of grain shipment?
You know, it's not just cars. It is velocity. And as Mr. Cope talked about, how many turns do you get out of a car? The more cars out there, it actually it tends to slow down the network. And so you want to have a network that has a higher velocity getting through that requires personnel as well and locomotives. So it's a combination of all four of those that affect the ability to.
Yeah, I think kind of grasp it again. But going back to 2006, so we've experienced these rail volumes in the past, correct?
Yes, sir. But there has been a.
Did we have the type of disruptions, the types of delays back then?
We were investing at that time and since that time to address that kind of shipment. And one of the big increases here is intermodal, which is a different pattern of shipment. As I mentioned, the rail car, the 1.4 million less coal cars coming out of the Powder River Basin. There is an increase in grain. I think we're moving more grain than we ever have. And there is
that also, is that in intermodal then? And is that one of the capacity constraints, is the intermodal transfer terminals?
Terminals is a big issue, absolutely. Having some of the investments that we are trying to make, like one right down here on Virginia Avenue. It's taken CSX 6 years, and they haven't quite yet gotten the final environmental impact statement. It is their biggest pinch point on their north-south line. It is a one-track tunnel that cannot accommodate double-stack intermodal. There is no federal dollars going into it. The federal interest is that for 1 week during construction, they will close a ramp onto 295. It's been 6 years.
Okay, that's one anecdotal example, but so basically what you're saying, since 2006, 2007, there's just been a change in the mix.
Change in the mix has played a role, yes, sir.
And it's a less efficient mix from a standpoint of being able to move cars around.
It's a different mix. I don't know if I would say less efficient. It's a different mix. Another example might be when the ethanol burst onto the scene. That was a change in shipping patterns. I'm told that Iowa became a net importer of corn, which changed shipping patterns as well. So you just have to address your operating plans and address the.
Well, let's go back to your pricing chart. I've seen that from 1988. Explain what happened. I mean, explain that chart.
Well, the chart indicates that as the industry was able to achieve efficiencies once Staggers passed in 1980, that we were able to pass along those productivity increases to our customers. Rates went down dramatically, and then
how they go down in relationship to inflation? Did they actually decline?
This is inflation adjusted. So
okay, so you totally inflation adjusted. You've taken that into consideration.
Yes, sir. Of course.
So rates declined by what percentage point before they started?
Well, I don't have it memorized, but it went down at one point 50% inflation adjusted, and it's still overall in the 40% range. I don't know what it was for chemicals per se, but then the market was able to bear some increase coming back. The productivity increases also helped improve service, and so that is where the market is right now.
So, Mr. Dooley, were rates wildly out of whack in the 80s?
Well, what I would say is that you had a railroad infrastructure and landscape then because of a very heavy-handed government regulatory approach that we would contend precluded some level of productivity and efficiencies that resulted in rates that were higher than they should be. We think the Staggers Act had a lot of good aspects to it in terms of contributing to a more competitive environment in the rail industry that has contributed to enhanced productivity. But when you get to a point, though, is when you see that increased consolidation, that it allows for greater market dominance, that we are concerned now that we are seeing some of the impacts of that, which is requiring that we revisit the STB and those policies allow for an effective, equitable, and timely rate dispute process. That's basically.
But I guess just yes or no, are you disputing Mr. Hamburger's typification of the rates finally inflation adjusted?
No, I wouldn't dispute that, but I would say that you can go look at a lot of industries and products that consumers are consuming and services are consuming, and you go back to 1980 and you do an inflation adjusted, you would see a chart that wouldn't be that much different in a whole lot of industries. Sure. I mean, this is not dramatic.
Yeah, I was just trying to get the facts because it seems like there is a disparity in the information, but you're both depending on what time period you pick,
right.
You're both correct in terms of what the pricing is.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.